Hi, guys, I'm gonna do two things at once. Go ahead and move my slides and talk at the same time. This is just a quick update on the Siesta Key Canal project, not much. Thank you. Right. So what I have here for you, we're looking at proposing, we have to get Siesta Key Association's approval to propose a grant with the Neighborhood Initiation Grant Program for Sarasota County. And this grant program last year gave us the opportunity to put in some mini reefs. And what I want to show you is, let me get the next one. So what we did is we put some mini reefs in at the north end of Grand Canal with the grant program, and that did very, very well, very well. And this is the start of the water that feeds the village. All the canals in the village come from this area. So this is the start. And what we're doing is using this grant money to restore the habitat for juvenile fish, like that's the idea, to bring back our crabs, our shrimp, and our juvenile fish and oysters. Now you get a lot of oysters along the seawall, you see them in the canal, and by putting the mini reefs in, we're providing a place for them to breed and build up so that they can help clean the water. What we're going to do with the next proposal, we did the north end last time. We're going after the south end down here. So that's going to be our goal, to get this whole line that be working from the top to the bottom to help create this nursery. So that's what we're doing. Where we are today, we have in Siesta Key, by the way, we do all the waters. We do the intercoastal. We're down in some of the bayous. We're down in the Vine Pass. We're up on the, let's see, Waterside East, so up at the north end of the key as well. So we're not just concentrating on the canal, but we do a lot in the canal. Our total canal count right now is about 212, and we have approximately about, I think it's full of 878 homes in the canal. So we put in that area about 212 mini reefs in that area, which is pretty good. So we're getting there. We're moving slow, but we're beginning to get there. The grants really help us because they help us jump up by 30 or 50 at a time, which is really good. So the next grant we'll go for is down in this area. Just one more thing, we have 272 mini reefs in the entire waterway, which is very, very good again. So I think if you have a condo that has a dock or a house, we're more than willing to work with you in getting a mini reef under that area. Okay, so next I want to show you what else. So we talked about that. Okay, I'll leave this one. What we're proposing is, once again, this is cycle 36 for the county. And the purpose of our project is to restore the marine habitat. And we want to use the mini reefs as that asset to put under docks to be able to do that. Now, also, there was a concern when we first started that the mini reefs may not stay in place. Well, of the 272 we have in our waterways, only about 8 or 9 have moved out from under the dock, and it's because of slip rope or a connection that broke, but they've never come away from the dock. Wow. So far, we've been very, very good about keeping them right there. Yeah. And we've gone through a couple of hurricanes. So we haven't seen them loose in a hurricane, which has been very good as well. Additionally, in the habitat increases intensity and density of juvenile marine life. It's all marine life. We're actually seeing shrimp coming back into our canal. And that's really a good sign to get the shrimp. Now, oysters are doing very, very well. I had a circumstance where one of the mini reefs came out from under the dock. The problem was that oysters were growing on the ropes. And they were wading down the ropes, which allowed them to float out in the corner. So I thought that's a good problem to have. So we have to make those tighter. The other thing we have is our Sarasota neighborhood grant proposal is to engage with Outdoor Academy. We're using the students at Outdoor Academy, and they will come around and stencil in an area where we install to remind people at the storm drains, what you put in here is going into our water. So it helps the kids to get involved in the neighborhood and get involved in these programs. And at the same time, it helps to remind the neighborhoods of what happens with the wastewater and stormwater that we have. When you, the purchase of the mini reef what we're gonna do is a 50-50 program. We're proposing a 50-50 program. County gives 50% of the money and the homeowner will pay 50% of the money. That way we can do more with what we've got. Our other plan is to use what we find that it's very difficult to prove the water quality. We're a 9-mile canal. And the reason we chose the canal, I keep talking about it, is it's closed in. It's an area we can get to that's closed in that we can deal with rather than being on the intercoastal and etc. So here we can get to a point where we really can study some results. One of the ways that we're showing our success is covering the density and intensity of the sea-like marine life population. So by looking at the number of minnows we get, whether it's a large amount, medium amount, or all, and then the size, are they small, medium, we start to get an idea about how we are in fact bringing more life in. So what we're doing first is we do the video filming, and we use the video film to be able to give it to the schools. We give it to both Sarasota High School, and that is Megan Emmers, and then we give it to Kim Walsh's team, and they look at it, the students look at it and count for us, and they look at species. We also have from Eckerd College a whole ecology of what is happening with the mini reefs. They've come around to Venice, to us, and then Anna Maria Island and study these types of species. And we have a whole book on the species that are actually populating these reefs. So that is also shared by the school, so they can use that to identify our populations. So the next thing we want to do is we have to get better at our data. So my team is starting to put together a process where we will go in the canal on a consistent basis. We're taking points in the canal. I'll show you in a minute a map. We have the canal broken up in 4 sections. We're going to pick 3 points in each of the section. And on a monthly basis, we're going to start to measure those 3 points. We'll get video evidence, but we will also get our water evidence. We'll get our evidence from the standpoint of the inventory of the habitat, where it's located, the dock lift, depth of the water, really important, because we find a lot of sediment comes in, we have to watch for depth. The second thing we have is our testing, time and date, weather conditions are important, high, low tide, and then coming over to the real measurements. What's the salinity? And what is the turbidity, the pH level, dissolved oxygen, which marine life needs. And now we don't have this one, the nitrate. I'm going to be asking for some donations for this nitrate. This nitrate measurement will be like $1,500 just to get this particular device. We have the other devices, but we don't have this. And then we use the video monitoring, as I said, for the colonization and for the marine life activity. So that should give you just a brief one. One thing, I want to come back to the maps, and then I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Catherine. We'll go over here. See what's better. Okay, remember I said we had, first of all, here's how the mini reefs are on. This is the island view. We're really concentrated in this area because that's where most of the canal water is. But we also have some all the way down here in the bayous. We have some up here that are outside the canal, all the way up to the Bay Area by the North Bridge. The Grand Canal, how they're also spread around. And now we're going to focus on the Bay Isles area to get both the north and south done. So this is where we're going to do the 4 quadrants we have. We're going to start to do measurements, tree measurements from each of these areas once a month to start to see what we see. Specifically, I want to see what storms do with us. What's coming in that's from the storms that we don't know about that we need to start to prepare for. So that's what we're doing, and I just want to give you a quick update. Thank you very much.
Yeah. How much is the grant still a prerequisite where you have to do the match, whether it's hours or community service hours?
Yes.
Or funding?
Correct.
How much is the grant?
Probably close to $10,000. Yeah. And we do get enough hours, I promise you.
Yeah.
What people don't know how the neighborhood grants go is that we have to match with labor by the volunteerism, the hours for the monies. Basically, it's a 1-to-1. And so we have to match that. And that's what the neighborhood grants do. And there's all kinds of neighborhood grants. And this just happens to be one that's, they've said it's one of a kind, really, in terms of what Sarasota County has ever approved. ever. I mean, people do improvements to flower beds and entrances to their homeowners associations or tree issues or
Doggy bags.
doggy bags like we've done and having the stations all over the key. But this is really about where we live. Really, where we live, so.
And I'll just
Great.
add one thing. Southwest Florida has a lot of waterways like this, a lot of communities like this. And it's time that we have an opportunity to be stewards for our water. Hopefully between, we call it Blue Water Coalition, Anna Maria Island, Venice, and Siesta. The three of us are working together with Effort College, trying to put a process together that other communities can take on, small or large, but they can do similar kinds of things to improve their water. So that's what I'm saying is that we have the capability of spreading this and making something that could be for all neighborhoods in our region.
Well, I'll help you a little with the nitrogen load.
Thank you,
Hey, thanks, Mike. That's great.
thank you.
We have to thank the county for being willing to spread the good news, because by having these neighborhood grants, and I don't really know what other counties do with regard to things like this, but I think we really live in a great area where people value the education and also changes in the waterway. And we're getting a lot of support right now for coastal waterways, as you all know, in all kinds of ways. So this is a great thing, and we're taking care of Siesta Key, one little fish at a time, and maybe we'd even be able to swim out there one day. What do you think?
That'll be a
I'm
while.
not sure about that
It's
now,
gonna be a
but
while.
I do remember there was a time, some of you might also